Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully everybody's well.
That was the
Hello.
travel secretary's nephew.
That's funny.
Yeah. So we have to do something.
Good evening, Mr. Perez, Emily, and Ron.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Guy.
Are we about ready?
We don't see your picture. Where are you?
He's up here, watch.
Way up there.
There you are.
Oh, okay. I feel lonesome if I don't see you.
Hey,
It's Guy.
Dion. Hey, Dion, how are you doing?
Yeah, see, you're coming in broken up.
Am I?
I don't know if it's mine.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? I'm
he's-
talking right now, and we should be able to start pretty soon. But Dion, can you hear me right now?
So, Dr. Guy, we can hear you loud and clear over here.
Okay, I'll just speak a little bit more closer to the microphone.
Yeah, and I can't.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's like coming in broken up on my end.
We used to have one right here. What happened to her?
Yeah, we need to make sure we have all of us be able to hear each board member.
Extension cord.
You just died. There used to be one big one.
She's getting one there.
Mr. Perez and board members, I'm going to begin the meeting. It's called
Yeah.
to order. One moment, please.
Just be careful.
Okay, I call the meeting to order at 5:31. Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody stand up. Miss Hunt Daly, would you lead the pledge, please?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of
of
the
the
United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Emily Covey, would you take roll?
Yes, sir. Dion Sandoval, Richard Jones,
I'm here.
Emily Daly,
Here.
Ron Ortiz,
Here.
Guy Archambault,
Here.
Come back to Dion.
Dion
Let's make sure Dion is on.
Dion?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here, Dr. Guy. It's just coming up real broken up.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure what we can do. Can you hear Richard?
Yes, we heard Richard loud and clear.
I mean, no, Dion, could you hear Richard?
Can you hear me, Dion?
I heard Richard loud and clear. Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I'm not certain why. Richard, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I hear everybody good.
Thank you very much. We'll do the best that we can. Adoption of agenda.
Okay,
Are
Mr.
there any
President,
changes to the agenda? If not, is there a recommendation?
Mr. President, Board, good evening, everyone. I recommend that we approve the adoption as presented.
Of the agenda? Yes. Is there a motion for that purpose?
Don't move.
So moved by Emily Hunt Daly. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ron Ortiz to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Adoption of minutes.
Aye.
Thank you, Dion. September 29 and October 6, 2020. I'm going to give you a minute or so to look at the minutes. Does anyone notice any changes that need to be made to the minutes of September 29 or October 6th? If so, tell us what you would wish to be changed. If not, superintendent recommendation.
Sir, Mr. President, Board, I recommend that Board approve the adoption of the September 29th and October 6th minutes.
As presented, all those, a motion is made by anybody?
So moved.
Someone, Emily Hunt Daly. Seconded by
Second.
Juan Ortiz to approve the minutes of September 29, 2020, October 6, 2020 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. Mr. Perez, recognitions.
Okay, once again, we have a lot of people doing a lot of work during these different times. But I would like to just make a mention and appreciation to the Pueblo of Acoma with the Department of Ed under the leadership of Dr. Melissa Riley and supporting our students with some of the jetpacks. We had a period where we didn't have enough of the jetpacks in on time. So they were kind enough to lend us about 25 jetpacks. I think the number's close. And then also, I'd like to acknowledge the fact that Dr. Riley herself and another person had received the training to proctor the SAT exams for some of our students in order to make sure that they're able to do the test without leaving the Pueblo lands. So just like to send a shout out to them and acknowledge the work that they're done in cooperation and in support of our GSS students there. So that's what I have, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. And congratulations. Thank you very much, Dawai, for Pueblo of Acoma to provide the support that you have given us for quite some time. Well, we will continue to look forward to such support in the future, not only from you, but from all the communities of the district and the tribes. Thank you very much. Mr. Perez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. We do not have any request for citizens to address the board this evening.
Thank you. Presentations, Mr. Perez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, board. So this evening, as always, it gives me great pleasure to share what some of the school sites are doing. This evening, we want to hear what's going on at Blue Water Elementary School. So with us tonight, we have our new principal out there, Mr. Gary Miller, who will be leading that presentation. So welcome, Blue Water team.
Well, want you to know that we're highly honored. When I say we, I asked the staff to kind of share a little bit about how we're dealing with coronavirus and the pandemic, and we have some pictures of the classrooms, and hopefully this will work. It's kind of an experiment, but as we go along, like all started, which is right now. So we want to welcome everyone to our presentation of Blue Water Elementary Schools, and we'll go on with our presentation. Yes.
You
Do you need us to share your screen?
Who's sharing the?
Okay. All right. Aaron Burke needs to be able to share his screen.
Okay, we'll give her the permission here.
Okay.
I'll give us just a second.
Yes.
Okay, Scott, it's good to go.
Okay. You got it, Eric? So we'll start with just a picture of our outside of our school and things like this. And then we'll go on to the second screen, and Patty Lopez, our counselor, will be the first kind of speaker tonight about our presentation and things. And Patty does a great job. You know, she's kind of the definition of a workhorse. She really works hard on everything she does. So, you know, I couldn't be prouder of the staff out here at Blue Water. You're all welcome to come out. I'll tell you what, you'll be amazed on when you walk through the door, you see the teachers teach, and you'll hear them as you go up and down the hallway. But right now, here's Mrs. Lopez.
Okay, just a second. We've got to open her up. Okay, good to go.
Everybody, my name is Patty Lopez. I'm the school counselor at both Blue Water and San Rafael Elementary School. We, the staff at Blue Water, have worked very hard to ensure that 100% of our students that needed a device, either a laptop or a Chromebook, received one. We've also been able to connect with all of our students to virtual learning with the help of central office. Thank you for the hotspots and technology for all their wonderful advice and their help along the way. We have also made hundreds, literally hundreds of phone calls, many home visits to accomplish this goal. We started face-to-face learning this week with about 75% of our students in attendance. I am very proud of our staff, our parents, especially our grandparents, and of course, our wonderful students for their willingness to learn and adapt to our current changes that we've had to face with this pandemic. So thank you, everybody.
Okay.
I think the teachers are here. They want to kind of say a few words to you and things, so you may have to let them all in.
Okay, if you let us know the names, we can.
All right, this is Tammy Boyd.
Okay. Good to go. Right.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Boyd, and I've been working out at Blue Water for the last 15 years teaching kindergarten. I just love Blue Water Elementary School. And I have to say, I was a little apprehensive of being able, wondering how I was going to teach on the big screen and also with my kids in person. But these last 2 days have been wonderful. I've had 3 that are online, and I have the other 7 in the classroom. We've been able to maintain our social distance. And you can see I have some marks there on the floor for us to sit for calendar time. And it has been going way better than my expectations. So I am so happy that we were able to come back in person, because these small children really need to be in the classroom. So thank you, and I hope it continues to go this well.
I'll do it. Okay. I'll do it. Okay, this is our special ed teacher, Alfred Pruitt.
Good evening.
Hey, hi, everybody. We're meeting the individual needs of our students. We have one that is doing virtual, and I have 3 or 4 that are actually in person. And it's really going quite well. It's just a struggle at times to try to coordinate students in person and students online with 2 schools. I'm at San Rafael too, but we're kind of trying being virtual with the students at San Rafael from Blue Water, which is going quite well with the assistance of the 2 aides that I have. So thank you.
No, sorry, Claire Tillman, and with her is Bernice.
Okay.
Mariano.
All right, this is Claire Tillman, our first grade teacher, and Bernice Mariano.
Somebody on?
Well, yeah, she's not able to get on tonight, but one thing we want to notice about our kindergarten and our first grade here is like the plexiglass on the desks and things, which we're really, this district really worked together, get the schools ready with the, real happy with the maintenance and the facilities director on getting our schools ready. So anyway, so we'll go on to the next slide. Okay, this should be Lexi Brown.
Got it.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I want to say good evening to the members of the board and Superintendent Perez. Thank you so much for the opportunity to bring the students back into the classroom for in-person learning. It's been a relief for parents and for myself and for the students to be able to be back in the classroom. As we all know, direct instruction person to person is definitely the ideal. We hope that we can keep this up. It's been going really well. As you can see, we have our desks social distanced, and we've been making sure to follow all the protocols and doing lots and lots of learning. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next is our 3rd and 4th grade teacher, Bonnie Gifford.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Oh, we can hear you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity for our school to present what we've got going on. I'm Bonnie Gifford. This is my first year at Blue Water. I am currently living my dream job. I grew up in Blue Water and I'd always planned on teaching there. So I'm finally there and just having a ball. I'm the 3rd and 4th grade combo teacher. So we've had some challenges. At first, we were all in one classroom and we decided to split it up into 2 rooms just so we could be extra cautious and more careful and maintain everyone's safety. So we're in 2 rooms. And so we're all working together, students and staff, to make accommodations for the kids and become acquainted with one another, as we have about 12 in person and 4 learning virtually. So this has been a fun, entertaining past couple of days. But today, one of my students hit the nail on the head and said, Miss Gifford, This is the best day ever because I have missed my classmates. And so that really showed to me that the board made the right decision in bringing our kids back, because they not only need the learning aspect, but they need that social aspect at this age to be with one another again. And so I'm just very proud that our community is working together and our school is working together to keep everyone safe, and we get the opportunity to learn together once again. And I'm very thrilled to be working for Grant Cibolo County Schools and living my dream at Blue Water. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is our 5th grade teacher, Jolie Simpson.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. Good evening.
Thank you for having us tonight. We're so excited to be back, and I agree with all of the other teachers when they say that we are very thankful for voting to give our kids the opportunity to come back into the classroom. This is my 26th year of teaching, and I came from Artesia. I spent 23.5 years teaching in Artesia, and I've been at Blue Water for 2.5 years. Of my 13 students right now, I have 8 attending in-class learning, and I have the remainder virtual, but I have one who's planning to come back into the classroom next week. So I'm super excited about that. Our school has made this probably the easiest possible transition into hybrid learning. We have plenty of help from the entire staff. Mr. Miller has been very supportive and understanding, and everybody jumps in to help wherever help is needed. And from the administration to the central office, we've had just super support, and we've been provided with not only the training that we needed to start Google Classrooms, but all of the supplies necessary. And so we want to thank you, because without your support and listening to teachers, we wouldn't be back in as good a shape as we are. So thank you very much.
This is our 6th grade teacher, Darren Simpson. Oh, okay, so we are. Okay. Oops. Okay, I think you need to unmute Jolie and add Darren Simpson.
Okay.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Hello, Mr. Simpson.
Okay. How are you guys? Nice
Good.
to be with you guys. We sure appreciate you guys letting us come on and present. We've had nothing. I've taught for 23 years, 15 years of it was at Blue Water. I too went to school at Blue Water, so I have a little bit of a investment in it that, you know, a lot of folks, I don't know that they see, but I really enjoyed just being back in that class. The kids are so ecstatic about being back. I have 11 students enrolled in my class. 9 of them showed up for in-person. 2 of them are online, but 1 plans on being back, and the other one talks about wanting to be back. So the kids, I've asked them several times, would you rather be home learning? And they said, no, we miss it so much. We thought it was okay for the summertime, but we sure enjoy it now. So that's a good thing. We've had great parents out there. They've been willing to outpouring support, both online and in person. The central office, Mr. Pettis and Ms. Sanchez, you guys have done an outstanding job to support us in both of those roles. And again, I want to thank the board. I mean, you guys have a thankless job. Mr. Jones, Mr. Sandoval, Mr. Ortiz, you guys went out of your way, and I don't get to see the other 2, and I'm sure you'd be just as willing to help, but you guys have been just, let me bend your ear a little bit on the concerns, and you guys are really out for the teachers, and you're out for the students. So again, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is our school nurse and our librarian, Jackie Matthews.
Not going. What's the name?
It might be under a N or it's her, I'm not sure who she's under there.
Okay, Jackie Matthews.
Okay.
I'm with Tammy.
Okay, unmute Tammy. Tammy Boyd, and she's there with Tammy.
Got it.
She's unmuted.
Okay, good to go.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say what we've done in the last 2 days has been amazing. The students have kept their masks on all day. They are social distancing 99% on their own. They need a few reminders, but they are doing such a great job and so happy to be back in the building. I'm so thankful they're there. It seems to be so much easier on them. I hope it is on their parents and grandparents and babysitters that we're trying so hard to keep them up to date. I just want to say thank you for letting them come back, and we've all got our fingers crossed that this is going to work out perfect and we can just keep going. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is our cook, Lucy Vela, and she gets at work, 5:45 every morning, and she has all the meals done and things, and right now she's delivering meals to the bus, to the people walking up, to pick them up outside the front door, and then also she's taking care of the meals for our students in the classroom. So she works extremely hard. I'm awful proud of her. I'm proud of everybody that works at our school, but she's really doing a good job. Okay, and it's a pretty big job. Okay. And then we have one person, I hope we didn't leave anyone out. Francisco Bennett is our custodian, and along with Lucy, they keep the school running, and like I couldn't ask for a better staff at a small school. I'm also there at San Rafael, and you'll find out when we talk about that school and things, it goes along the same, that both staffs are really excellent, have really good people working there. So anyway, but with that said, probably the last thing, I had a kindergartner today show me what a necktie for, and that is to grab it and pull and things. So anyway, thank you again for letting us present tonight. And like I said before, you're welcome anytime to come out and visit our school at Blue Water. So thank you, and we appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. We can't hear you, Dr. Guy.
That was a great report from Blue Water. Board members, comments, questions? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Dr. Guy, I'd like to make a comment.
All right.
Okay, so I'm really happy to see the teamwork and collaboration there at Blue Water under new leadership. It's always had a great team of teachers with great successes at the school. Just wanted to point out that it looks like the teamwork and collaboration is working well today, and I hope that continues from here on out for the sake of the students. And I just also wanted to say that it makes my job, and I'm probably my colleagues' job. So very rewarding when we hear people saying that they like their work, they enjoy doing what they're doing. And to say that Ms. Gifford, I think, is doing her dream job, just really means a lot. You know, that we're bringing people back to the community, growing the community, being committed to the students and the families in the community. I just think that's very, very rewarding, very nice to hear. So good job, Blue Water team. Appreciate all the work you do. Appreciate everything you do for the students.
Anyone else? Well, once again, thank you very much, Blue Water. It was a very welcome presentation, very positive. It reflects well on the school and the team. And we could not be more grateful for the people that are there, all of you. And we thank the parents who are making the efforts to get their kids to school and trying to succeed as much as we can in a very unnormal way. But let's continue on, and we pray that it does return to more normalcy in the future.
Okay.
Mr. Perez.
Yes, thank you. So, Mr. President, Board, I'd like to move on to the next presentation. And as we do periodically, is give a financial update and let you know what are the big things happening on the financial side. Mr. Maldonado will share a little bit about the recent audit visit and our cash balances moving forward.
Good evening, board members, Mr. President. I'm happy to share with you and bring with you an update on what's happening with our audit and some items with our budget, just to kind of bring you up to speed. Next month, we'll be able to give you a regular report on our cash balances and the cash report that we have to provide to the state, and some other more detailed information. But in the meantime, I thought it would be valuable to share with you some of the goings on with the audit, and I'll just walk you through what we've done so far. So the annual audit is done by Manning and Accounting and Consulting. This is the second year that they've come in to do the audit. And you may recall from last year, they're very thorough and very organized. They came in this year with a team of 4 in mid-September. They spent a week on site after they had given us a list of items for us to provide to them for the audit while they were here. They did all of that. Then when they left us with just a sort of a punch list of 3 or 4 or 5 items. They're still working on that audit. The audit is due mid-November, November 15th, to the state auditor's office. From there, the state auditor will review it, and then we'll also have been able to provide information to the finance committee of the board. And then in December, mid-December, we'll be able to publish it and speak openly about the results of that particular audit. So they come in, and their job is to evaluate the veracity and the reliability of our financial records. And they have a very set protocol that they follow. And they also work very hard to identify gaps in compliance and most importantly, to recommend process improvements. After all, the audit is a report card, but then if we want to improve, they work as a consultant with us to help us understand what processes we need to improve so that we can continue making strides in the future. So it's a very comprehensive review. We pull payroll records, HR files, bank records for the year, disbursements, that means money that we pay out. they look at every single fund balance, and they look at the revenue that comes in. They take a sampling of all of our procurement records, and then they review our procurement process, how we purchase and pay for items. And they do a very thorough review of our federal programs. And then, of course, they look at all of our tax records. So just to give you an idea of the scope of what it takes to prepare for this, they sent us 22 what's called procedure memos to complete, where they ask us to explain 22 different processes in great detail about how we get things done in the district and in the business office. They sent us a request for 33 sets of records, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but that actually worked out to be over 400 and some documents that our staff had to go and pull and prepare for them. That required 2,520 staff hours to prepare for this. And to just give you an idea, we pulled 55 invoices, checks, and purchase orders they reviewed. And the audit cost the district $47,000 to complete. So here were their initial impressions after they left after 1 week. So they said by all measurements that we were more prepared and organized than last year. You may remember that last year we had 26 findings. That was a very significant number of findings for the district, and it really helped us to set our focus for what we want to accomplish in the coming year, and helped us to really laser point where we needed to improve, and helped us to put together a plan. And one of the things that I think what they also noticed as they left, that they spent 1 week this time instead of 4 weeks last time, which is a big improvement. They said that we had some significant noticeable improvements in our overall process, the way that we stored our records, things like that. And they did identify that we have some work to do with our processes in federal programs and cash reporting, which although we made some improvements from last year, I think that, this is an area that we're going to set our sights on for this next coming year to really just begin to rapidly improve some of those processes. So that was our audit. We'll have more information next month when we get more detail. I'm anticipating a better audit than last year. I think that our staff worked very hard to make sure that we had things organized. I have to tell you that it was a long, hard year getting things together, and our staff really stepped up to the plate to learn new processes, to participate in how the auditors wanted to, how they wanted things to happen. And it really was a paradigm shift in how we determined what we're going to do in the business office and prepare and to make a squeaky clean audit. That's our goal, is to, although probably no audit is perfect, we want to get as close to perfection as possible. So let me give you some, any questions about the audit before I talk about the budget a little bit. I'm happy to answer any questions. All right, let me just bring you up to speed with where we are with the budget, the first quarter of the year, and some next steps. So I wanted to compare last school year 1920, to this school year 2021, where our total budget, where we put in our operating budget that we get from the state, all other grants and federal programs, total last year came to $72,141,000. That's the scope of how much money we're managing in the district. This year, that total is $71,688,000. Of that, $39,741,000 is the operating budget. And the operating budget, 90% of that operating budget goes to pay for salaries. That's the operating budget known as the SEG, the State Equalization Guarantee, where every month the state deposits money into our bank account to help us operate. Most of that money goes into operating budget, into salaries in that operating budget. So getting that SEG is kind of like an advance on your allowance every month, where they say in a year you're supposed to get this 39 million, but then they make adjustments throughout the year. We report different metrics to them and then make adjustments, and then they finally make a sort of a reconciliation at the end of the year. But this allows us to have operating cash to move forward to take care of the things that we need to take care of. As you can probably imagine, cash during the pandemic has been, the demand on cash has been very high. I wanted to give you an idea of how much money has come in since the beginning of the school year. That's at 10 million, almost $11 million. And the cash out, we've spent $8.1 million in expenditures and payroll. We have another $4.3 million encumbered, meaning we have purchase orders out for these items and these things that have not been delivered or paid for, which comes to a total of $12,479,000. So as you can see, more money going out than coming in for the first 3 months. So that we pay for that with the cash that we have on hand, which is fine to do, but then we have to start replacing that money. So for example, I'll give you an idea of how we replace that money. The CARES money that we received came in an allocation, but we have to spend the money and then request for reimbursement after we spend the money. So we are, as I remember, you may remember last month or last board meeting, I showed that we had spent about $1 million or out of that CARES money. That's out of our cash reserves that we then have to go and get back in reserves coming back in from the state. So the conversations I've been having with Mr. Perez and with the executive team and now with you is we want to move beyond the emergency, sort of the public health emergency funding. It took a lot of time and resources to get prepared, as you can see, for the schools to prepare for what they needed to get done to meet the needs of the students. And so it's time for us to start moving beyond that emergency funding and to really start looking at what it takes for us to sustain the school district in the months and years to come. Some of the things that impact that are, of course, the unknowns in the state solvency plan. We've heard everything from they're going to take cash from districts that they think have more cash than they need, to reducing the state equalization guarantee, to a number of different ways. This last week when I was at the NAMASBO, the New Mexico Association of Business Officers training, our lobbyists mentioned that some ways that it may not be as bad as we originally thought, because some of the revenue coming in from online sales, amazingly, through the state has been higher than expected. So it's yet to be seen what will happen with the state solvency plan. And the phrase I like to use, of course, is we plan for the worst and hope for the best. And so our fiduciary responsibility is to really try to plan as best as we can, given the resources that we have. So some of those planning requirements mean that we have to plan for cash requirements to sustain the technology that was required. An unexpected expense not budgeted for was the expense of maintaining the monthly fees for the jetpacks in order to connect our students to their teachers and to the online remote learning. That's going to cost, just an idea, about $100,000 extra that we did not have planned or budgeted. There, of course, have some state mandated virus protection and eradication procedures. We mentioned some of those last week or last board meeting, having to do, for example, with the HVAC systems and ways that we can use to to prevent the virus from spreading. We want to look at those kinds of things. We don't see that those items are going to go away. So we really are in a position where we're having to identify exactly what money we have available, and then look at where we have to move things in order to sustain the new paradigm in the learning platform. And then, as I said, we're developing strategies to move beyond the public health emergency, and then looking at what is the staffing requirements for our new learning platform. So those are some considerations that the executive team has been looking at, and some information that we're going to bring forward to the Finance Committee and then later to the board for your consideration and pondering. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have at this point.
Mr. President, I'd just like to add to the to that conversation that because student numbers are down, the New Mexico Coalition of Educational Leaders and New Mexico Association of Superintendents have been pushing forward to hold us harmless for the amount of money that districts are losing because of the drop in student numbers. For example, grants, last number I looked at, solid number, was down 165 students. So the significant student number drops. What we proposed is to the state is to hold us harmless and use last year's numbers as a base to keep us harmless until 2023. That proposal is holding some weight and sounds promising right now. We're not going to count on it completely, but I just thought that I would share that with you because it would make a difference in our funding here for the next 2 years.
Mr. President, did we get all the money for the CARES Act then, or did that come in?
Yes, ma'am. So, Mr. Maldonado, would you say some words about the CARES Act funding that we've received?
Of course. We actually haven't received money, so it wasn't like a deposit that was made to our bank account. It was an allocation that allowed us to spend against that. And we will then be coming and requesting an RFR, a request for reimbursement from the state. I've already talked to Dr. Martin about when we want to do that because the CARES Act has certain requirements that in terms of how we allocate those funds. And so I believe by next month, we should be in a position to request some reimbursement for some of the funds that we've already spent.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I would like to add that I recently spoke with the Title I, the NMPD Title I person, Ms. Carol Culver, and she did say that the district has the liberty to spend the CARES Act money according to where the district see it fit. They're very much aware that the district needs can shift from time to time, and so they will allow amendments to be done to the application, and they will keep the application open and allow amendments to be done ever so often. And we just have to make sure that those amendments and bars are done before RFRs are made.
Thank you.
Mr. Pettis?
Yes.
Federal funds, impact aid, the title programs. What is the status of impact aid? Is it under a normal drawdown, or how are we doing this for the federal funds?
Yeah, so Mr. President, board, so as you know, there's been a lot of attempts to make some big changes with impact aid the last few decades, but very intensely the last year. And we were not successful in winning that bid. But so things are continuing pretty much as normal. As you know, impact aid fluctuates year to year. The total amount of our current impact aid is about do you know the figure?
It's almost $2 million.
Almost 2 million.
Yeah.
If we were successful in receiving the total amount, we get that's 25% of what the amount that we were pushing for to get the entire 100% of the impact aid funds. But once again, we're not successful in doing that, so we're back to the business as usual with the impact aid funds. Federal grants, we have seen no impact to speak of as far as is it being affected by the COVID situation. So the title funds are pretty much the same as they have been in the last few years. So that continues on based on student membership. So the biggest impact on federal funds is the number of students that we have in the district.
Anything else, board members? If not, thank you very much, Mr. Maldonado. And let's continue on to the rest of the board meeting.
Okay, Mr. President, board, everyone out there listening this evening, I would first like to start off by saying with the reentry and all the situations that we've been through the last many months, I want to make sure that it's clear that we have successes, as you've just seen with the Blue Water Elementary School, and I'll share some other highlights in just a minute. But I also need to make sure that everybody knows that our challenges continue. It's not a perfect situation. We're in a situation where nobody has written a manual about how to do this step by step yet. We're also in a situation where there's nobody that has experience in the kinds of things that we're problem solving with over the last few months and the last few days. Once again, I'd like to thank the reentry team, everybody who's been involved, collaboration, and all the creativity of the teachers that, as you can see, that are just making it work as a team. But I have to tell you that along with the successes is a lot of hard work and a lot of challenges, and it's tiring work for staff at every level. I think it's important that people know that if I don't want to leave out a group, but custodians, their work has changed, cooks, teachers, obviously, and I've talked to several teachers that the planning, the hours has not decreased because the students aren't in class, it's actually increased. So those are the kind of things I think that people, the general public needs to be aware of, that it's not easy. And because the students are not actually there in the classroom, or at least most of them, it did not decrease the workload. Actually, it's different, and for the most part, it's increased to a large proportion. But I think it's the good side of that is I think it's leveling off, and we're figuring out different parts of that day to day. All of us are learning more. We're becoming better with technology. We're becoming better with online strategies. We're teaching. We're becoming better at online technology and so on and so forth. So I just want to just be sure that we paint a picture that's real. And before I share some of the other successes that we've had. So just yesterday, I'll speak from my personal perspective, because I was able to get out to Cubero Elementary, and I have to tell you that it's very well organized. I was stopped before I even got into the parking lot. My temperature was checked, and I walked in and saw that every protocol that I know about was being followed, and followed very carefully and seriously. The principal walked me through all the classrooms at Cubero. The largest class that I seen with the highest number of students there was 3. We had 3 students in the 6th grade classroom. The other classrooms had 2 or 1, and some 0. So, but just the structure, the atmosphere was very positive, very organized there. I also got to visit Mesa View Elementary, and it's quite different. A lot more students there. Still not, I think the average class size there was probably 7 or 8. And they also had very good processes and being very careful with who's entering the school and social distancing, cleansing, sanitizing, and so forth. So got to see all the hard work that everybody's been planning actually put to reality. And so it's a good experience at both of the schools. We had some of our other administrators visit some of the other schools. So let's see, maybe Dr. Martin, you were at San Rafael.
Yeah, I visited San Rafael and Mesa View this afternoon. Like Mr. Perez said, those schools are very organized. They checked my temperature, made me sign in. And in San Rafael, they have their first and second grade combined and third and fourth grade combined, and kinder, fifth, and sixth in separate classrooms. They were practicing social distancing. The students were all wearing masks and on task and just look excited to participate in class and be with each other. In Mesa View, there were more kids, but there were markers all over. They even have markers in their restrooms, so students can practice social distancing. They have all classrooms have plexiglass, individualized plexiglass per desk, aside from the desks being in the appropriate distance from each other. And it was very amazing to see that we're only 3 days in, or 2 days in, and it seems like they've been doing this forever. Very happy to see all that.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Dwayne, your experience? Mr. Toivanen?
Thank you, Superintendent Perez, members of the board. I was able to visit Milan and Blue Water on Monday. Milan, same thing. You know, my temperature was checked at both sites. I spent some time with Miss D. Armand, who was just singing the praises of her staff. We went over some of the schedules and protocols they have in place, and things are going well. At Blue Water, I was able to visit several of the classrooms. Teachers, I'll tell you one thing about our staff. They're so resilient and so creative. I talked to some of the students, and they were just happy to be able to see their friends and of course see their teachers. One little boy told me he was just excited to see his teacher. And you know, there's still questions, as you said, Mr. Pettis. It's not perfect, so I did take an opportunity to talk with some of the staff, and you know, that's how we'll get better. But kudos to our staff. They're very resilient, and they truly care about the kids.
Ms. Whitebird?
Good evening, everyone. I had the opportunity to visit Cebolleta on their first day of school. The staff was doing a wonderful job on following health and safety guidelines. They're diligent about taking temperatures, social distancing, all the recommended guidelines set forth. When I visited the school, they did have 10 students in the building. They had 4 in one classroom and then a few others that attended class virtually. In the classrooms, the students were having their breakfast. They were socializing with their friends, which was a very nice sight to see. They seemed very happy to be there with their friends and their teachers. It just seemed overall the staff and the students appeared to be in good spirits. They're motivated. And just as the teachers from Blue Water mentioned, the students are very happy to be back. And it was really nice to see them in school and know that we're there supporting them.
Thank you, Ms. Whitebird. So, Dr. Martin, if you'll get those slides ready. While we're pulling up the slides, to put all this in perspective with the state and talking with my colleagues from throughout the state, we're having a similar challenge as every other district is. Some of the challenges that I was hearing just this week, that some districts were starting hybrid like we are, and when they have a case, or two positive case, it does the obvious shutdown, and you got to put the brakes on and take a step back and move forward again. For example, I think Bloomfield had a school had to completely close. Had another school that is close to closing down. We've all heard about Rio Rancho having a school shut down for a day or two or three, those kind of things. So once again, I want to be very realistic about this as we move forward, and being as careful as we are also ready for responding to any type of those kind of situations that might come up. So alongside this, to take another look at what's happened the first 2 days of hybrid, we're taking what they call a warm body count. It's the actual looking at those students in class and counting them each day. We'll be doing this for a while to see that any kind of pattern develops, or if we have a solid number of students attending each class. So on day one, the principals were asked to send us in a count of actual students in the classroom, and we're keeping a record of that as we go. So I got here's a little spreadsheet where, for example, Milan, the current enrollment is 411. Out of that number, we had 134 in class and 277 remote. I can't see that they're the title. Oh, that's probably because I have my. And 14 rode the bus. And this is data out as of today. Mesa View out of enrollment 444, in class 144, remote 297, bus riders 12. Cubero out of 221. Yesterday they had 15 students, today they have 18. Remote 203, bus 2 bus riders. Seb out of 29 enrolled, there were 10 in class, 19 remote, 10 bus riders. Mount Taylor 428, 123, 305 remote. Large student population, most of them are remote, remain remote. Blue Water has a good percentage of in class. That looks like about 75% of students in class, 25 remote. And San Rafael looks like close to half in class, half remote, more or less. And then our totals there. Go ahead. Here's another, just another picture of in-class learning yesterday or today. Not sure when that picture was taken. Well, that was today by Dr. Martin. Okay. This is just another way to look at it. The enrollment, the in-class versus the remote, in-class orange, remote gray. So it just gives you another look at proportionately, a lot more students remain remote. I think it's around 30% of the district that is actually coming to class, those elementary students. Okay. And here's a picture of Cubero. So here's the numbers and percentages. So currently we have 1,156, 70%. This is our elementary students. And in class 506 of that 1156 are in class learning. Total transportation right now is 43 bus riders. We have 0 at Acoma and 0 at Laguna so far, but I think we have a couple registered, and I'll ask Ms. Nodal to maybe, are you there, Jerry? You give us a little update on how busing is going?
Yeah, we have 80 students registered. They're not all riding, but we do have 80 registered as of this afternoon. And this afternoon, we transported 57 of those students. And we're not transporting anyone from Laguna. But we do have 2 registered from Acoma that are going to Mount Taylor, and I do believe they rode the bus today. We had made contact with the parent and she was going to put them on the bus today.
Thank you. Another thing I need to share is that as we move through this, we are having people come and look at the buildings from the fire marshal and the state to make sure the facilities are all in order. We appreciate that. Right now, for example, we had Mount Taylor and Mesa View just got upgraded to MERV 8 filters. TLC is changing filters, I think at least 4 of the locations. There's 3 other schools that have MERV 8s that just need to be refreshed or renewed. That's happening all this week. So the filtering, although the state was originally pushing for MERV 13, they're saying that the MERV 8s are will meet the requirement, and so that is in place or will be in place by this week. Mr. Vance Lee is out today. Otherwise, he could give the more detailed spreadsheet on that. But I just wanted to make sure that that you know that we are installing the filters and they are being checked by the fire marshal and by the state. So so far, we're all in order and passing the tests. I also wanted to share related to the reentry information that there's a concern, always a concern when teachers have to leave or resign or retire. When I was having a conversation with Mr. Toivana today, although we've had several resignations or retirements, they're not all related to the situation. Mr. Toivana could probably give a better picture of that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Pettis. So we have had I've had many discussions with employees and as of course, you know, some of our employees are older, have health issues, and have made the decision to retire. And through our discussions, you know, some of them were concerned about COVID and some of the health issues. So we've worked to try to accommodate those employees, where we're looking at about 7 employees that have made that decision, mostly at the end of the semester. And for several other ones, you know, we've been able to work with and accommodate or see what the issue is. That's a big part of it, and trying to find out how the principal, how the sites, and you know, other teachers have really stepped up to help these folks. And so we're doing everything that we can to meet the needs of our employees, keep that communication going. And but you know, at the end of the day, some have to just really assess their health and their needs and make those decisions. So we're trying to help them as much as we can with that.
Thank you, Mr. Toivana. And I'd like to add that kind of bringing it back to where we started, where when I say it's very difficult work for all the staff, you know, this is also extremely difficult for parents, as we've seen the last couple of days, to release their students out to the open. And but I'd like to remind everybody that I really like the fact that we've built our reentry around options. So all families always have the option of remaining totally virtual for as long as needed to be. So I don't want anyone to feel like there's anything being forced or pressured or pushed. We're here to service the students when they choose to arrive at our doorstep. Or if they remain online, our goal is to provide a quality education in the best way that we can. Also, teachers, we appreciate the teachers. We appreciate all of the hard work they're doing. and it's tough and it's challenging and it gets frustrating. And sometimes there are concerns that you wouldn't know unless you walk in someone's shoes. But I just want to express that, as Mr. Toivanen pointed out, that we want to work with you. Every situation is a little bit different, but in no way are we giving any kind of ultimatums. We're trying to resolve situations day to day, hour by hour. So I think that being said, we're learning again and we're growing, and we continue to problem solve. And I think it feels a little better than it did back in the spring when it seemed like people were scurrying, not necessarily us, but just around the state, scurrying and looking for answers. We got good at some things, and I think it's a little bit more grounded right now. It's still not perfect. We don't have instructions on how to do this, but we are moving forward, and I do feel like we're moving from being, as somebody pointed out earlier, from being reactive to being proactive, and begin to start planning some good improvements to everything that we're doing, rather than reacting to all of the situations that are coming at us at a rapid pace. So with that, Mr. President, Board, we're open for questions or comments.
Okay, Mr. President, I do have a couple of issues. I noticed that, and as numbers increase with students coming in, that there are some classrooms that don't have the, what do they call them, plastic barriers? Plexiglass, and that as the numbers increase in the classroom, then I would hope that we would make certain that those plexiglass barriers do go up, especially around with the older kids who tend to socialize a little bit more than the younger kids do. You can scold a little first grader and tell them to stay behind the plexiglass more than you can a sixth grader. Okay, so we need to make those considerations. The other considerations, I know there's a rise in cases in Cibola, and how we're keeping abreast of those numbers through EOCs from both tribes, through maybe the Grants City, and how they correlate with the PED statistics around the state, because we did see some numbers where schools are having to close. Just to stay abreast of how we can correlate with those numbers. And then, and I think this is for Raquel, although I got some of the answers from Mr. Perez, but I'm still going to insist that we have a number of technology issues on the east side. And I understand that there are people at the Laguna area school that can help with those technology issues. And I know you're strapped. I understand you're down one tech, but if there's any way that we can get a tech out in, say, Laguna Acoma or Cabero, so we can help those kids with those connectivity issues on their laptop. And I mean, it can go anywhere from, because I've experienced this where the kids are using the laptops for downloading the different apps. And so they're playing with and creating issues. And we just don't have anybody in the area that can address those. And I would hate to have to say to a parent, can you drive that laptop to Grants? And they live in Cebolleta, or they live in Mesita. But if I would more likely say, drive them to Laguna, take your laptop to someone at Laguna Acoma, and they can fix the issue for you. And I'm not saying you have to have someone permanently there, but maybe one day out of the week.
Right. We'll definitely look into that and then have that addressed.
Okay,
we
because I
try
know
to
there.
circulate. Yeah, we try to circulate throughout the whole entire district.
Okay,
So
excellent. Because I know there's some issues with kids not being able to log on at Laguna Acoma in the high school classes. And we still want to maintain, even though they're not hybrid right now, that we still want to maintain their connectivity.
Yes,
So that would
definitely.
be a great help, Ms. Raquel. I appreciate that.
Yes, no problem. Thank you.
And I know that we need to stay in touch with the EOCs from the different pueblos. I know there's a spike in Acoma right now, and that doesn't just affect the community of Acoma, because those people come to, we have people going in and we have people going out. And so we've got to be wary of that and make sure that we're making all those necessary, taking those necessary precautions. Because even I go in and out, and there's no telling whether I'm taking it out with me or I'm bringing it in with me. So we just need to take those necessary precautions. And I just wanted to assure that we are taking the precautions. There was some concern that I heard about masks and the bus rides. And so there wasn't a lot of information on how we were going to do that to the general public, to ensure that before the child gets on the bus, his temperature is taken. There's to ensure that they sit apart on the school benches in the bus. And then when they get to school, do they take their temperature again? I assured the people that were concerned that all of this is, they're following the Department of Health guidelines. And it's just a little more active assurance that we are strictly following the guidelines, because I don't want anybody out there saying that we're just allowing kids to run helter-skelter through the classrooms with no masks and no social distancing, but that we are following all the guidelines. And we all know how rumors get fly around when there's a lot of concern for that. So those are the two things that I would ask the team to continue to collaborate with those EOCs from the different tribes, so that we can maintain a sense of security across the state or across our district, so that we're not assuming that, yeah, they know or they should know. But we just make sure that they do know is probably my biggest concern. And as our numbers, like I said, as our numbers increase in the classroom, that we make sure that we have those dividers up in all the classrooms, so that the numbers, we're assured that there is some safety precautions going on in the classroom as the numbers increase. And, you know, who knows, it may double by next week. And so we just want to make sure that we're doing all that we can to keep our children and our teachers safe. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Raquel.
Thank you, Emily.
I'll just make a couple of comments, Mr. President. So Ms. Daly Hunt. So I just want to assure you that the bus protocols are there, and Ms. Nodal has trained her bus drivers and staff to follow. Of course, right now we only have a few students riding, but they do require to wear masks. They do take temperatures, and they do have the distancing inside the bus for the bus riding. And we have that available. I don't know if I have it on the slide here, and if not, we do have it on the website under bus protocols. And then is it on there? Maybe we could bring that up. That'd be helpful to,
Yeah.
if that's a question for maybe others. With the plexiglass, that was planned out according to the sizes of the classrooms. Like if students had to sit any closer together than 6 feet, then that's when the plexiglass was required. There are some setups that needed the plexiglass everywhere. It is kind of cost prohibitive to get the plexiglass at every desk, you know, but so we're trying to be strategic and making sure that we have plenty of, there's not one there. Okay.
I'll send you a picture of a teacher that did it with dollar store. She got some pipe things at the dollar store, and I can't remember what bags or plastic she used, just regular plastic sheeting, and she made her own plexiglass out of that. So there, it just helps us stay on the side of precaution.
Yeah. Stay safe. Is this ours? This, okay. This is the bus protocol section of one of our documents. Ms. Nodal, are you still on?
Yes, I'm still here.
Do you want to say a few words about this?
Sure. So for transportation, we're being really strict right now just because we need to make sure in case we have to do contact tracing that we know exactly who was on the bus. The only bus eligible and registered students are being transported right now. We've been able to make personal contact with all the parents to give them adequate accurate information about the bus pickup and drop off and where those bus stops are. We're encouraging those parents that can to stay at the bus stops with their children so that they are safe and warm inside the vehicle and socially distanced while waiting. And we've also, in case somebody presents sick, we can immediately send them home. Bus drivers, assistants, and students all receive a temperature check before entering the bus. Students they board the bus one at a time to maintain that social distancing. And also, it's not on here, but what we decided to do is all students, while we can, are sitting one student per seat, and they're sitting in a zigzag pattern, the inside, then the aisle, then the inside by the window, and then the aisle towards on each side. But what we're also doing is first one's load to the back, and in the morning they load from the back forward, and then in the afternoon they load from the front to the back, so that the ones that get on the bus first are the ones that get off the bus first are seated in the front so that they're not in contact with the other students. And so far that's working. The most we have on one bus right now is we transported 12 on one bus, and so we have plenty of spacing. And also, while we can, we are not going to, if we hit where we have to have 2 students per seat, we're going to put another bus on that route. We'll reroute some things so that right now we're only sitting 1 elementary student per seat. And as long as we're in this type of hybrid format, we're able to do that. Attendance is taken twice a day. The drivers are reporting their numbers so that we have accurate information, and they're disinfected after each route. And then twice a week, the buses that are used for transporting students are sanitized throughout with the misting system that was purchased by the district.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Board members, comments, questions? Mr. Pettis, I got a question, probably with Jerry too. Baca Pruitt, do we have any transportation into Baca Pruitt?
Yes, sir. We are transporting, I would have to get the exact number. I believe we are picking up 5 students, 5 elementary, Blue Water Elementary from out there.
I thought they said they didn't have any being transported.
We have some registered. I would have to get the exact numbers from the driver. I know he transported 10 students home this afternoon, but he's covering all the way down to the lake and Blue Water Village. So he's transporting 10. I can get that exact number for you that he's transporting, but I do know there are 2 coming from the lake, and we did have, I believe it was 3 registered from the Pruitt, what would be the Pruitt post office stop.
The Pruitt post office stop. What about the Baca chapter stop?
Let me look. I actually have the rosters. The crew. And I can find out tomorrow.
Well,
from the
no matter. I'm
driver
just trying
if he's
to,
transporting them.
I'm just curious because on the chart that was spreadsheet that was given to us a while ago, it showed Blue Water had no students being transported.
We have New Mexico 122. We have 4 students registered from right there. I
Now,
can find out if he's actually transporting them, but I do know he took 10 students home today.
Okay, and those Blue Waters, those students are, elementary students are going to, only to Blue Water?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay. One moment, please. I'd like to have a more complete breakdown by school on the filtration situation, so that we know which schools are getting, who have 8s, which ones are not. You can mention that to Vance. Sounds like we still have some connectivity issues. I wasn't clear. Still, that's a bit fuzzy as to whether or not students are whether we have 100% who have connectivity, or are we still short? And if we're short, then what is it that we're trying to do, and what are the barriers for achieving 100% connectivity? I was pleased to see Sibieta has 10 students attending. That's great. But what we got was just sort of like a snapshot of various schools, not all the schools. So, and we're primarily looking at elementary at this time in this report, because that's the sort of the critical part. We're trying to find out what's the situation with kids coming to school, actually getting on buses also. And it looks like a lot of the kids, more of the kids who are in the Grants community area able to, or who are living locally, can get to schools like they've had in the past. I didn't know how many personnel, the total number of personnel who retired or resigned at this time, regardless of their the reason. But my assumption is that these numbers are a bit higher than we would normally have, and so I didn't hear that. It sounds as though the schools are being consistent with respect to the protocols. That's great. And it sounds as though the teachers are really positive about making the effort to succeed with the kids that they have, trying to be as innovative as possible in delivering the instruction. The other part that we didn't talk about was the virtual learning, or actually the academic learning portion of it. I would suggest we wait on that until we get the results back on the test scores, so we have a better picture of the academic program and how it's working, both for the regular classroom performances, and then the test that I'm assuming we've completed the administration of the tests.
Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Perez, on behalf of Ms. Renee Sanchez, the Illuminate or interim Q1 interim assessment window is open until November 13th. It opened October 19th, but due to requests from the elementary schools, we agreed to have it open until November 13th. To give everyone a chance to actually take the interim assessment.
Thank you.
So that means, Mr. Perez, that we're relying on classroom performances to determine progress academic progress of students. And
Yeah.
report cards will be coming out at the normal time.
Yes. Report cards are on schedule. The formative, quarterly assessment, as you just mentioned, is on deck. Some are actually taking the Eliminate quarterly test today. And the secondary schools will start just a few days from now. And as you mentioned, we'll have that quarterly data mid-November. Right now, teachers are relying on their in-class assessments and their PLCs examining student work and looking at the work from that way in order to establish the grades in school work. But the actual district-wide assessments, we won't have fresh data until mid-November. I also, if I could, Mr. President, I want to just make a comment about the connectivity. When we say 100% connectivity, right now, I would say I don't know if that's ever possible in any time in the near future. And here's the reasons: is the providers, internet service providers, they don't have the towers in place, and it'd probably take them a while to build the towers. I do know that there's work in progress. For example, we have a fiber line that's going across through San Mateo, around the mountain onto the backside of Cebolleta and in that area. That's a major undertaking that will provide more service, but I still think that we'll have other spots that still are going to require some major long-term solutions with that. So let me give you an example of just where the status of that is. I was at Cubero. There are 22 students who are either not connected or have shaky internet connections. And that staff there and the parents there are doing the best they can. Many parents are choosing to have both. They have the unreliable internet service, but they're also picking up packets so that if the internet fails, they're able to do the packets and at least have something. So if we can come up with a better solution, I would love to hear it. But right now, that's what is happening. And that's just one example of many. I think if you go to any school, you're gonna have a similar situation. I know even like probably at the Haku and other districts around us, we're still, that's one of our major concerns. At least it's definitely one of mine, connecting to those kids properly that probably need it just like everybody else.
Mr. Perez, there's one thing I know that, and I don't know if this is through PED, but there are things that they call booster boxes, and it comes from the New Mexico PED, and I don't know how they give them out to the different districts, but if you get one in your yard, the only thing you have to do is agree to allow someone to come in and park in your yard and use that booster box Wi-Fi signal. And so that's worked really well in the Acoma area. We've got 2 booster boxes at one of our teachers' front yards. And so people come in, park there, and they use that Wi-Fi. And I know I recently talked to the guy, and you can buy some of those online that will attach to the Wi-Fi signal. But if PED was giving those out, I don't know if the district is allowed to get one of those, or if it's just for the rural areas. I don't know. But that might be another option to see what they can provide for us, because we probably are one of the most remote rural areas in the state. I don't know what they're called.
Are they called the Cradle Points, Emily?
I don't know. They just called it a booster box. And the 2 teachers that have it just had to agree to allow people to come into their yard and sit there and use their Wi-Fi signal.
I wonder if it's the same system we have at our parking lots.
It might be, I don't know.
it's not. Those are actually wireless access points, Delton, but the booster box she's talking about might be the cradle points. And those are the mobile bus hotspots, pretty much, if it's the same device we're thinking of. I know the PED did a survey when COVID first hit, sometimes in April or late March. They did a survey asking schools, districts, their connectivity problems, as well as the one-to-one devices. They compiled all that data, and then what they did was they did not give the funding to the schools. They instead redirected the money and gave it to mostly tribal schools, I think. So we didn't get any of that funding for that, or we didn't receive any of those devices. I think that went to another place. We did get the wireless hotspots though. So I think that might be what you're possibly thinking about.
Raquel,
Is there anyone that I could talk to about the booster boxes, just to get an idea of what that might be and what the funding source could be for the district?
Yeah, you might talk to Dr. Riley at ADOE. I know that's where they got them, the two got them from, was from that office. But is there anything commercial out there that maybe we could provide information to parents, what the best brand is? Is there such a thing as the booster box that we can buy commercially?
I have to see what the booster box is. I know a lot of devices that amplify signals. You already have to have a signal in existence to amplify. Say you have your home network at home and you buy a booster box, that's just gonna make the signal stronger in your home already. So I'm thinking that it might be a cradle point box, which is pretty much like a large cellular device that pulls a Verizon or Sprint signal and displays that throughout a small area. I think it's about 100 to 200 footprint. I think that might be what you're talking about.
Okay, so there's nothing commercial, like a family could buy, like I could buy for my home, and that's a good brand. Because you know, when you get on the internet, they say, yeah, buy this one, buy this one. But is there one that's better than any of all the rest that we can, that maybe I could test out? I don't mind buying one so my granddaughter can get on there. But
right. I mean, we could always look into it and possibly make some recommendations. We have a really great, our IT director, or sorry, our IT manager is really great about speccing out hardware, as well as one of our other technicians. They're really great about that. So I'd be happy to work with them and see what we can recommend to homes.
Okay, that would be fantastic. Thank you, Raquel.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Pettis, board members?
I have one more question that doesn't pertain to the Wi-Fi. I understand we're having parent-teacher conferences this Friday. Are we allowing parents into the schools on both east side and west side? Or are we do these virtually? Or are we doing them by phone calls? What is it?
As far as I know, the conferences are being done virtually. I do know that Laguna Acoma High School is requesting permission from the governor to see if they can have some face-to-face conversations with the parents there.
Okay. Anything else? Well, thank you very much, Mr. Perez and staff, for providing us with this information. We know it's our first effort to try to assess where we are at right now. And we will continue to monitor all of the data that is coming in each week, particularly on transportation. I would encourage the principals to continue having dialogue with parents to reassure them that the transportation, the safety and health precautions on the buses are are meeting the protocols and that students are safe to get on the bus and come to school. Mr. Pettis, if there's no other, or if there are no other board members that wanted to comment, let's move on to the next agenda item.
Okay, Mr. President, board, or someone on? Okay, so action item A, this is consideration approval of policy advisory 209. It was on a first read last board meeting, it's up for action tonight.
Mr. Torvanen, can you summarize real quick?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Pettis. This is from the Mexico School Boards Association, Advisory 209, as Mr. Pettis said, dealing with the student participation in interscholastic extracurricular activities. Minor changes really in compliance with the Attendance for Success Act, basically setting the GPA and the attendance requirements for students to participate in extracurricular activities.
Board members, we've seen this before. Mr. Pettis.
Okay, Mr. President, board, I do recommend that we approve this advisory 209 as presented.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to,
Dion.
yeah.
Dion is making a motion, seconded by Richard, to approve consideration of approval for policy advisory 209 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against? Motion carries.
Next up, Mr. President, board is consideration approval of construction, secure vegetables at Cubeto, Mesa View, Milan, and Mount Taylor. That is background. So, you know, we've been discussing this for quite some time with our safety funds and the different funds available to make this happen. This goes right alongside with our fencing, security systems around the schools, cameras. So this particular piece is for bringing forth the construction of those secure vestibules at Cubeto, Mesa Vieja, Milan, and Mount Taylor. And Mr. President, board, I do recommend that we approve this action item.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll move to approve.
Motion made by Ron Ortiz. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Emily Hunt Daly to approve the construction of secure vestibules at Cubeto, Mesa Vieja, Milan, and Mount Taylor as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against? Motion carries. Mr. Pettis, consent agenda.
Okay, Mr. President, board, there are no bars there. Are there any bills, expenditures on there, Emily? Okay, so there are no items and under that agenda place. So
All right.
I'll just move on to the next.
All right. The next item is executive session. Audience, we thank you for participating and listening to the reports. At this time, we will go into executive session and for specific purposes. So I will state those and then we will enter into that. You are free to terminate your connection with us if you so desire. The closed executive session is limited personnel matters to discuss the regularly scheduled evaluation of the superintendent's performance as permitted under sections 1015-1-1H2 of the Open Meetings Act. Is there a motion to go into executive session for that purpose stated?
So moved.
So moved by Richard Jones, seconded by?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ron Ortiz. Pursuant to the New Mexico Open Meetings Act regarding limited personnel items to discuss the regularly scheduled evaluation of the superintendent's performance as per the statute. Roll call vote. Emily, would you take the roll call?
Dion Sandoval? Yes. Emily Hunt Daly?
Yes.
Ron Ortiz,
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Yes.
Ira Shambo,
Yes. The motion passes. The time is 7:14 PM. We are now in an executive session. We'll give ourselves about 5 minutes. Mr. Perez, you can send us the link. And this link is only for the board members.
I did send the link, Mr. President.
All right, so we will leave this session and we will enter in another one.
Good deal.
can take these home, Emily?
Oh, I need to call him back. Thank you.
The reason why he wasn't able to unmute himself a while ago, the first time he came in, he turned into a co-host. And then I think he got kicked out, and I didn't know he did that.
Can you come on now?
We
I
didn't
just
have-
have my phone to close up.
Yeah, Raquel's still here.
Is Raquel there?
And Vanessa.
Max, make sure everybody's back.
Okay, just a minute. I'm waiting for Dion.
Okay. And Richard?
I just talked to Richard. He got, his battery went dead, but he might join.
Did he attend part of the executive session?
Yes.
Okay, then he gets to vote.
Okay, but I don't see Richard. So Dion's back on?
Wait till Richard comes back on.
Okay.
Is Richard gonna
Is he gonna be able to?
charge his battery?
He's plugged in now, so he sounded like he was gonna be on.
He knows he has to be, because otherwise we're gonna have a, what do they call it? Something with public meetings? The last time?
No, he just wouldn't, he wouldn't vote. But if he was on,
Yes.
then he can vote.
What's that we were accused of violating the Open Meetings Act?
Not if you don't have, if you're not participating in executive and then you come out and vote, that's a violation.
Okay.
But the other way around is okay. Like you were there for a part of the time,
What are we doing?
you can vote.
Well, we need to ask him when he comes on.
Okay. I don't see any sign of him. Can you, can you text, well, I don't know if we can do that.
Richard.
Do you have his number?
I have it.
Or do you? See if somebody can.
Text him.
Or call him. If we call him, we could just turn it on, speaker. Oh.
No. I'll get it for you. Hold on. Where are you? I thought I had it. There it is. 290.
Okay, hang on.
0843.
So when are they gonna, when is Jackie gonna know whether Governor Herrera allows them to have face-to-face parent-teacher conferences?
Hey, Richard.
Probably tomorrow.
It's, well, it's concerned 'cause I don't think they're gonna allow teachers into the school.
Ready to go.
Or parent
Okay,
teacher.
Richard is on. Sorry. Dr. Guy,
All right,
all here.
let's get ready. The board came out of closed session at 8:02 p.m. Is there a motion to reconvene the open meeting session?
So moved.
So moved by Emily Hunt Daly. Is there a second?
Second.
Dion,
Second by Dion Sandoval to reconvene the open session. Roll call vote. Emily?
Dion Sandoval,
Yes.
Emily Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Ron Ortiz,
Yes.
Richard Jones? Dr. Guy Archambeau?
Yes. The motion passes. The only items discussed was limited personnel matters to discuss the regularly scheduled evaluation of the superintendent's performance as permitted under section 1015-1H2 of the Open Meetings Act. We are now into open session. Mr. Perez, you have a brief superintendent's report.
Mr. President, I think that I said all I intended to say this evening earlier.
Good. Then we go on to X1, announcements.
Okay, loud.
Parent-teacher conferences this Friday, and then PD for teachers on Monday. That'll be done at the school sites under the supervision of the principals. And
would you ask them to make sure that the parents who are doing virtual, that it is reasonably safe to be transported? Just to make, some parents are a little nervous about that. They want to know, like Emily was saying, they don't know. And so we're getting calls.
Okay.
So they need to not so much pressure them, but just to educate them about that. Okay, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, district closed. The next board meeting is November 3. That's the elections meeting. That's the day of elections. And so are we going to continue with, if there's some desire to move it to another date, then we need to consider that. And I need to get a sense from the board, how they feel about it.
I already voted. Now.
I'm okay on the 3rd, so whatever you guys want to do, I'm fine.
I don't hear anybody saying let's move it, so we're going to keep it into the 3rd, and we'll get through the agenda as quickly as we can so we can find out what happened. Agenda items, as you see, adjournment. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
So moved by Emily Hunt Daly. Is there a second?
Second.
To adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 8:06.
Good night, Leon.
Thank you all. Take care of yourselves. Max?
Thanks, Richard. All right, have a good night.
We'll see you at our next meeting, guys.
Max, are you there?
I'm here.
I'll tell you how I want my 3-ring big binder that you got there.
Yeah.
You can get it to me. I'm going back to Albuquerque tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So I may have you ship it or something.
We can get it out to LAH.
You should give it to me now.
Okay.
What?
Give it to Emily now.
Well, I'm not going to be back till Thursday, Friday, or Saturday.
Well, where do you think I'm gonna go?
I'm going to Albuquerque on Thursday.
I'll give it to Emily, and she and I will hook up.
Okay.
I mean, connect.
Right. I'm already married. I'm thinking.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I missed that one.
And you're too short.
Leave me the meeting.
Oh, you guys got jokes today, don't you? One more, Emily.